Hello everyone and welcome now to Game 3 in the series between Elfi and Thorzain here on Daybreak. Elfi spawning as the red Protoss player at the 7 o'clock position, meanwhile Thorzain spawning as the blue Terran at the 1 o'clock position. This is going to be this Terran versus Protoss matchup, and so far Games 1 and Games 2 have been very different from each other. One thing I would like to say right off the bat, wow, is my computer actually lagging a little? Alright, it looks a little bit better now. Thorzain is already mining very efficiently off of these closer mineral patches, something that's rather tricky to do, especially with your starting 6, so very impressed by that. Elfi, let's take a look at him. He is a little bit more spread out, and you can see a little bit of mining on the longer mineral path there, as we are now getting all 8 mineral patches. Meanwhile, you can still see that Thorzain is only mining off of 5, now 6 of the 8. Meaning that these closer mineral patches should give him a faster mining time and perhaps translate into a better overall economy, except for the fact that a probe doesn't need to babysit a pylon as it's being built. Alright, probe now slipping off to the north, will be warping in some buildings now, and now doing a bit of early scouting by Elfi. Let's take a look at Thorzain. Thorzain opening up with the barracks. He has been going for that 13 refinery, and we'll see if that once again holds true. It looks like it will not, as he is queuing up more SCVs, so it looks as though this may be a 1-Rax expand this time around. So perhaps Thorzain wanting to go more into the economic games, and we'll see what Elfi does. Elfi is going to come inside, do a bit of scouting, and figure out that either A, his opponent is going for a 1-Rax expand, or perhaps Thorzain is being extremely tricky and has a proxy SCV somewhere halfway across the map in order to try and build a proxy barracks, but I don't believe that will be the case. SCV now slipping away. We can see that Elfi has a good amount of scouting information, not only the buildings, but the amount of SCVs that were trained, and that should pretty much tell him that there is no proxy barracks. Coming back over here, Elfi pretty much stuck to currently building that assimilator. We can see that there is that cybernetics core chrono boosting out more and more probes as we are going into this command center at the natural expansion. The command center was spotted by Elfi, so he has gleaned all the information that he has needed. Elfi now not really dealing with this SCV, as we are getting an early zealot out, and now it will be followed up with a stalker. So one zealot already on the move. Thorzain sitting at 19/19. SCV takes a look, spots at the SCV, or sorry, the zealot takes a look, spots that the SCV is not there, and still wandering around. One marine holding the Xel'Naga tower, and Thorzain will need a bunker here and in a hurry to defend against any sort of harassment. Nope, it looks like it will not be harassment. Elfi actually placing down a nexus. We can see that Elfi is also currently not training up any probes. A little bit curious about that. Finally getting in some more probes and chrono boosting that out. A zealot is out. It will be able to hold that Xel'Naga tower there. The marines, however, may be able to charge in soon and poke after that zealot. The zealot is, however, recharging those shields, as Thorzain is going to retreat back to the safety of a bunker. Now, we are sitting on 2 racks right now, reactor being built, and I am curious as to what the overall strategy will be. Thorzain actually only having 2 SCVs on this particular refinery, and I don't know if this is deliberate or on accident. You can see that there is 3 left off over here, so that may be a telltale sign that it may be on accident, or it may be the fact that he just really doesn't need that much gas at this stage in the game. Thorzain sitting at 29/38, Elfi sitting at 32/34, and you can now see Elfi going and establishing up his 3rd gas extremely early. A very fast gas tech normally does mean perhaps early High Templar, early Archons, or early Dark Templar. Dark Templars will not nearly be as effective, as there is going to be double orbital commands for scanner sweeps, but then again, Thorzain does seem to be pumping down and throwing down those mules pretty consistently. You can see Elfi has pretty much major control of the entire map right now. Elfi may be retreating with that zealot there, spotting marines now charging that Xel'Naga tower and taking control. Zealot will be retreating back, and we are going into a Templar Archives. So a very fast Templar Archives could indicate very fast Psystorm, or perhaps very fast Archons. Both Both an interesting strategy, especially when you're trying to charge in and take down a bunker. Bunkers are the bane of Archons because they do not do the additional bonus damage to the biological units that are currently sitting inside. Now, Elfi is floating about 400 gas at this point. He is also going into a robotics facility, and this actually confuses me just a little bit. Perhaps he's going to be going into a warp prism, and with that warp prism, be able to drop down Psystorm into mineral lines, and this is going to be a definite special tactics play. Elfi is behind 49 or 51 compared to 63 supply. Archons are being warped in now. Stalker and Sentry on the defensive side. The Sentry off over here, knowing that it takes only 2 force fields to block this ramp, I believe. Is it 2 or 3? I believe it's 2. Or maybe just to narrow it up. 1 Marine now making its way over to the 3rd base. We are running currently on 4 gas, each of them with 3 probes on them, as we now see that the robotics facility is going to go ahead and train up an observer. That does confuse me a bit, as well as I thought it would be a more of a warp prism special tactics. Elfi sitting at 61 over 68, harvester count 46 to 43. That means Thorzain does have the definitive larger army, and if you take a look, you can see the real difference there in terms of minerals, but in gas it tells a completely different story, as there are a lot of High Templars and 1 Sentry. Templars do have Psystorm, and this could catch this Marine Marauder ball completely off guard. Zealots now charged, being upgraded, 4 gateways being warped in, so very, very high tier 3 production. High Templars are going to be ready to go, and if the High Templar perhaps even tries to get a feedback on a medevac before it gets there, this could be huge. Thorzain does not have combat shield yet, and now we see 1 Marine walking in on the inside, and the Marine spots the High Templar. That is going to be absolutely huge. 1 High Templar actually tanking a lot of damage, and you can see Thorzain retreating and backing off, and that 1 performance enhancing drugged PED'd Marine scouting out a whole bunch of information, and that was very important. 1 observer holding off over here. Factory now flying over. Warp gates are currently on Chrono Boost, and that is a lot of warp gates, especially off of only off of 2 bases. So, but then again, you also have to calculate the fact that we are going to be going into longer cool times, especially with those High Templars. High Templars now on the move. Zealots are there as well. Zealots with charge are going to be able to close in on that distance fairly quickly. And here we go. The Sentry's unable to get off the force field in time. Trying to get off some easy shots there. And there you go. A very, very nice split. Elfi able to just corral all of those units and take them down, splitting up that army. There is 1 factory simply floating by. Proxy pylon now set up, as Thorzain now looks to establish up his 3rd base. Production or RB tabs now show a large discrepancy, 1,000 resources higher for Elfi, as the Zealots are now making their way forward. Are they perhaps going to try to take this down here? There is 1 observer overhead. There's a scanner sweep. Zealot now trying to get away, as the High Templars able to push back those units. The observer may actually get taken down here, as the High Templars are now trying to split. Marines now taken down, and here we go. We could have an attack. There are some Psystorms, and this is going to prevent any of those Marines from being able to engage. Here we go. 1 bunker now down. A 2nd bunker. More Psystorms coming in, and beautiful Psystorms at the 12-minute mark. Elfi losing to the special tactics. Winning with the special tactics, and Thorzain pretty much not having any answer whatsoever. 4 Archons now warping or merging, as Elfi takes this game with with absolute ease. Game 3. Please stay tuned for game 4, as Elfi has now taken a 2-1 lead with a very, very curious Psystorm Archon rush here on Daybreak. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening.